So, a pleasant morning to you, Ma'am. So, in line with the subject of astronomy, we are assigned to discuss or to explain what is cosmology. So, in continuation with the report of my co-reporter, John Caril Dalisay, now let's move on to the age of universe. So we're now at the age of the universe. So the model of the universe as an expanding space filled uniformly with galaxies allows cosmologists to estimate its age and to calculate condition year time of its birth. So Alexander Friedman, a Russian scientist, made such a calculation in the 1920s. But his work attracted little attention not until 1927 when Avi George Leitmeyer, Belgian mologist and priest, independently made similar calculations. Did astronomers as appreciate the condition at the birth of the universe could be deducted, or shall we say, from the what is observed today. So one of the most controversial question is, are we at the center of the universe? So the recession of distant galaxies from the Milky Way often leads to the mistaken belief that the Milky Way is at the center of the universe. However, because of space itself is expanded no matter where you are in the universe, galaxies will be moving away from you. So another example, similar argument can be made for an observer in any of the galaxies. This means that because of the expansion of the universe causes the velocity to increase in proportion to the distance, every observer, no matter where in the universe he or she will see the universe expanding the same way. Now, let's move on to the cosmic horizon. So the age of the universe limits the distance we can see because light requires time to move from one point to another. So we can see no farther than the distance light travels in a time span equal to the age of the universe. So if the universe did not expand, calculating the distance that light travels in a time span would be simple. For example, if the universe were not expanding and we're 14 billion years old, we could see nothing farther than 14 billion light years away from 18.6. So the universe may well extend beyond the distance, but the maximum distance that the light can travel in the universe, age therefore defines a cosmic horizon. So astronomers call the space within the horizon the visible universe. So because the universe is expanding, it turns out that there is no simple expression for the distance to the cosmic horizon or even a distant galaxy. For that matter, a simple example will show the problem. Recall that when we see galaxy, we see it the way it was at the time when its light left it. So perhaps billions of years ago, but when it entitled its light, the galaxy was closer to us than it's now because the universe was smaller. Furthermore, since the time light we now receive was entitled, the galaxy was moved yet farther from us, carried by the expansion of the universe. Thus, which distance do we apply to the galaxy? If distance when the light was entitled, if distance when the light is received, some of the distance to avoid such as confusion and for other reasons. So, astronomers usually use the light travel time distance when speaking of the distance to remote galaxies. So at this time, let's proceed to the origins of elements. So as we explorate 2 times before the CBM radiation was produced, the universe must have been hotter and more dense. So George Gamow realized that at early enough times condition must have been similar to those in the core of a star. And so he predicted that helium should have been created by nuclear fusion as it is in stars. Gamow hypothesized that helium formed in the young universe is supposed by more recent theory as well as by the observations. So according to modern theory, the young universe consisted of protons, neutrons, and electrons, rather than just neutrons and Gamow's belief. Nevertheless, his basic idea is correct in its youth. The universe was hot and dense enough for nuclear reaction to fuse some of the protons and neutrons into helium. Moreover, current calculations show that the amount of the helium and other light elements formed depends on how hot and dense the universe was and how long those conditions lasted. The condition at this early time can be related to the density of the matter in the universe today. So if the universe was lower in density, less he would have to produce because the particles would not have been collided and fused as often. This also would leave a higher amount of some partial fusion products like deuterium. By about 10 minutes after the expansion began, the universe had cooled to about 1 billion K and spread apart so much that the fusion stopped, leaving about 24% of the matter transformed into. So let's proceed to the cosmic microwave background. So because the universe is expanding as we look farther away, we are also seeing the universe when it was younger and more dense, pursuing the idea of George Gamow, a Russian astrophysicist who flew to the United States before World War II, realized that it must also have been extremely hot. His argument was based on the observation that compression heals a gas, and so the enormous compression of the early universe suggests that it too was hot, and thence the interior of the star when the universe was young. Gamow ideas were developed further by two of his collaborators, an American physicist Ralph Alpher and Robert Herman, in further 1948. They predicted that after the young universe had expanded for several 100,000 years, it would have cooled and expanded enough that the universe became transparent. Astronomers often call this the recombination era because the ionized atoms would have combined with their electrons to make a transparent neutral gas. From this time onwards, radiation was able to travel large distance and reached us today. Though in altered to understand how that alteration occurred, we need to look at the properties of the radiation in a greater detail. So in the last part of our topic, we're going to touch down the inflationary universe. So physicists can study the behavior of matter at extremely high temperature by smashing together particles in accelerator of nearly times the speed of light. The highest temperature reached is several trillion Kelvin. This recreates what conditions were like about 1 microseconds after the universe birth. So the universe must have been even hotter, denser, and more energetic at even earlier times. And physicists have attempted to extrapolate what happened at this extraordinarily high temperature. In principle, physical laws can be applied back to the time as early as about 10 to 41 seconds after the Big Bang, known as the Planck time, named for the German physicist who developed quantum theory. He recognized that at time smaller than this, the scale of quantum fluctuation became as large as the Schwarzschild radius of black hole. This would result in random fluctuation in the curvature of the entire universe that the physicists did not know how to model. So the future expansion of the universe. So we have seen that the universe began with all matter flying away from all other matter at enormous speeds. In the first few minutes of the expansion, all of the hydrogen in the universe was created along with the most of helium. Then for several 100,000 years, this hot gas expanded and cooled, finally cooling to the point where it stopped glowing and the matter began clumping into galaxies and larger scale structures. So stars that form have been gradually consuming the hydrogen from the Big Bang, generating heavier elements that ultimately become planets, molecules, and even us. So if the universe expands forever, Each star will eventually consume all the hydrogen and burn out, leaving the universe a black, empty space, dismal project. However, recollapse of the universe would mean that all of the object and atom and us within will be compressed into what some astronomers have called Big Bang Crunch. The big crunch might lead to a rebirth of the universe, perhaps leading to a new Big Bang. Although it seems almost impossible that anything would survive being crushed to subatomic size.